The morning sun cast long shadows across the ancient ruins of Nexus 7, as Dr. Zara Velthon carefully brushed dirt from the stone tablet she had discovered 3 meters below the surface. Her team of archaeologists had been working this site for 6 months, but nothing had prepared them for what lay buried in the deepest chamber of the ruins. The tablet was unlike anything in the galactic databases, carved from a mineral that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Ambassador Kethavar adjusted his breathing apparatus as he walked through the corridors of the Galactic Council station. The Zephyrian diplomat had served on the council for over 40 years, and today felt no different from any other routine session. Representatives from 12 species would gather to discuss trade disputes, territorial boundaries, and the usual complaints about mining rights in contested systems. He had no idea that his entire understanding of the galaxy was about to change forever. Zara ran her scanner over the strange symbols carved into the black stone. The translation matrix struggled with the ancient language, offering fragmented interpretations that made little sense. She could make out references to sky warriors and the lost ones who return, but the most intriguing symbol appeared repeatedly throughout the text. It showed a bipedal figure with minimal body hair, forward-facing eyes, and what appeared to be primitive projectile weapons. The figure stood triumphant over what were clearly advanced alien warriors, with energy weapons and protective armor. The council chamber filled with the usual mix of chittering, harmonious tones and mechanical translations as delegates took their assigned positions. Kethavar nodded politely to the insectoid representative from Hive Prime, whose mandibles clicked in what he had learned to recognize as their equivalent of a greeting. The crystalline beings from the Andorian collective hummed their presence in frequencies that required special equipment to translate into audible speech. Despite the diversity of species present, they had all learned to coexist peacefully over the past millennium. Dr. Lisa Hartwell received the transmission from Zara's team while conducting her own research aboard the deep space station Endeavour. As the galaxy's leading expert on extinct civilizations, she immediately recognized the significance of the discovery. The descriptions Zara provided matched fragments of similar legends found on 17 different worlds across known space. Each culture had their own name for these mysterious beings, but the physical descriptions remained remarkably consistent across species that had never made contact with each other. Archaeological site on Nexus 7 had been designated as a low-priority dig, when initial surveys revealed only basic stone structures. Most civilizations in this region had developed beyond such primitive construction methods over 50,000 years ago. What made the site unusual was its age, dating back to a period when the galactic community believed this entire sector had been uninhabited. The ruins suggested the presence of an advanced civilization that had somehow vanished without leaving any trace in spacefaring. Records. Commander Jake Morrison observed the council proceedings through hidden sensors while maintaining his position in the asteroid field, beyond the station's detection range. The human reconnaissance vessel UES Horizon had been monitoring galactic communications for over 2 centuries, carefully studying every species, every government, and every military capability. Jake knew that Dr. Velthon's discovery would eventually reach the council, and he wondered how they would react to proof that humans had once walked among the stars. Zara's excitement grew as she uncovered more tablets in the burial chamber. Each stone told part of a larger story about beings called Terrans, who possessed an unusual combination of physical resilience and tactical intelligence. The carvings showed these creatures surviving in environments that would kill most known species, fighting with weapons that seemed primitive but proved devastatingly effective against superior technology. One tablet depicted Terrans boarding an enemy vessel through what appeared to be direct exposure to vacuum, something that should have been impossible for any organic life. The morning session of the Galactic Council proceeded, with its usual tedious discussions about shipping lane regulations and asteroid mining permits. Kethavar found his attention wandering as the representative from the Outer Rim territories complained about pirates disrupting their supply convoys. These raiders used hit-and-run tactics that seemed almost primitive compared to the advanced warfare doctrines taught in military academies across the galaxy. Yet somehow these simple strategies proved remarkably effective. Against ships designed to counter sophisticated enemy weapons, systems Lisa compiled her research notes while reviewing archaeological reports from dozens of excavation sites. The pattern was becoming impossible to ignore. Every ancient civilization had legends about mysterious warriors who appeared during times of crisis, fought with unexpected tactics, and then vanished without explanation. Most scholars dismiss these stories as primitive attempts to explain natural disasters or military defeats, but the consistency of the accounts suggested something more significant. Deep beneath the surface of Nexus 7, Zara discovered the most remarkable tablet yet. This one showed a detailed star map with specific coordinates marked in the same strange symbols. Her translation software struggled with the ancient language, but she could make out references to a forbidden system and the sleeping giants who will wake. The star map pointed to a region of space that galactic surveys had marked as empty, containing only a small yellow star with no significant planetary bodies worth investigating. Jake received an encrypted transmission from Earth Command while maintaining his observation post. The message was brief but carried enormous significance for humanity's long-term plans. Archaeological discoveries across the galaxy were beginning to reveal evidence of human presence in ancient times. The careful isolation that had protected humanity for centuries was starting to show cracks. Soon the galactic community would begin asking questions that could no longer be answered with simple dismissals. The afternoon session of the council brought news that troubled several representatives. Reports had been filtering in from the outer territories about unusual encounters with unknown vessels. These ships appeared on sensors for brief moments before vanishing again, almost as if they were conducting surveillance operations. The technology required for such advanced stealth capabilities should have been beyond any known civilization, yet the encounters were increasing in frequency. Zara carefully packaged the most significant tablets for transport to the main archaeological research facility on Centauri Prime. Her discovery would require analysis by teams of experts from multiple species, each bringing their own perspective to understanding these ancient mysteries. She had no way of knowing that her find would eventually trigger a chain of events that would reshape the entire galactic political structure. The council session ended with the usual diplomatic pleasantries and promises to address outstanding issues in future meetings. Kethavar gathered his data tablets and prepared to return to his quarters, unaware that forces beyond his imagination were already setting plans into motion. The galaxy had remained peaceful for so long that most species had forgotten what it meant to face a truly unknown threat. But that peace was about to be tested in ways none of them could anticipate. The mining operation on Kepler 442b ran 24 hours a day under conditions that would kill most galactic species within minutes. Foreman Bill Carter walked through the extraction facility, wearing only standard protective gear while temperatures outside reached levels that required specialized environmental suits for visiting alien inspectors. The human workers moved efficiently through their tasks, harvesting rare elements from deep within the planet's crust where other species found the gravitational stress and atmospheric pressure completely unbearable. Dr. Lisa Hartwell reviewed her latest behavioral analysis reports aboard the research station Endeavour while monitoring communications from 17 different galactic civilizations. Her xenobiological studies had revealed fascinating patterns in how alien species approached warfare and conflict resolution. Most galactic militaries relied heavily on automated defense systems and predictable battle formations that had remained unchanged for centuries. Their strategies emphasized overwhelming firepower and technological superiority rather than adaptability or tactical innovation. The alien species she studied showed remarkable consistency in their approach to problem solving. When faced with obstacles, they typically responded with either increased technology or additional resources rather than finding creative alternatives. This pattern extended beyond military applications into their general approach to challenges. Most species had evolved in relatively stable environments where consistent strategies led to success, making them highly effective within their specialized domains but inflexible when facing unexpected situations. Bill coordinated the loading of transport ships with refined materials that would be distributed throughout human space for fleet construction and industrial expansion. The alien community had designated Kepler 442b as uninhabitable due to its extreme conditions, never suspecting that humans had established a thriving industrial complex on its surface. Similar operations existed on dozens of worlds that other species avoided, giving humanity access to resources that were effectively unlimited from the galactic perspective. Admiral Ryan Phillips stood on the Yao bridge of the dreadnought UES Liberty reviewing the final status reports from human fleet commanders scattered across known space. 3,000 vessels had been constructed and deployed over the past 50 years, each one incorporating lessons learned from careful observation of alien technology and tactics. Where other species favored energy weapons that could be disrupted by electromagnetic interference, human ships carried kinetic weapons that were nearly impossible to defend against using conventional shielding technology. The human fleet design philosophy differed fundamentally from galactic standards. Most alien vessels were built around the concept of long-range engagement, using sophisticated targeting systems and automated weapon platforms. Human ships were designed for close combat with heavily armored hulls and weapons that required direct line of sight. This approach seemed primitive to galactic military doctrine. But human planners had identified critical weaknesses in alien defensive strategies that could be exploited through unconventional tactics. Lisa compiled data showing how different species reacted to stress and unexpected situations. The Zephyrians became paralyzed by analysis when their standard procedures failed to provide clear solutions. The insectoid races from Hive Prime relied on collective decision-making that became slow and inefficient during rapid combat situations. The crystalline beings from Andorian space processed information through harmonic resonance patterns that could be disrupted by specific frequency interference. Each species had evolved strengths that also created exploitable weaknesses. Captain Amy Rodriguez received her patrol assignment while docked at the hidden human base in the Tau Ceti system. Her stealth frigate UES Ghost had been monitoring alien shipping lanes for the past 6 months, gathering intelligence on cargo routes and defensive capabilities. The information collected by ships like hers helped human strategists understand the economic and military infrastructure that supported galactic civilization. Most alien vessels traveled along predictable routes with minimal escort protection, assuming that space was generally safe from hostile action. The communication networks that connected galactic civilization operated on principles that made them vulnerable to human technical capabilities. Most species had developed their technology along similar paths, creating standard protocols that could be monitored and occasionally influenced without detection. Human technicians had spent decades learning these systems while maintaining complete communication security for their own operations. This asymmetric knowledge gave humanity significant advantages in information gathering and strategic planning. Bill supervised the departure of another shipment bound for human shipyards in the outer territories. The mining operation had exceeded production targets for 37 consecutive months, providing raw materials that were supposedly impossible to extract from hostile environments. Human industrial capacity had grown exponentially while remaining completely hidden from galactic surveillance. The alien community continued to believe that most resource-rich worlds were too dangerous for habitation, never suspecting that humans thrived in exactly those conditions. Admiral Phillips reviewed intelligence reports, showing the locations and capabilities of major alien fleet concentrations. The galactic powers maintained impressive numbers of vessels, but their deployment patterns revealed fundamental assumptions about space warfare that humans could exploit. Most alien fleets were positioned to defend fixed installations or patrol established territories, leaving vast regions of space effectively unmonitored. Human forces could move through these gaps without detection while positioning themselves for maximum strategic advantage. Dr. Hartwell discovered patterns in alien psychology that explained their consistent tactical approaches. Most galactic species had evolved as either predators or prey, creating mental frameworks that emphasized either overwhelming force or defensive positioning. Very few species had developed the balanced perspective that came from being both hunter and hunted throughout their evolutionary history. This psychological limitation made it difficult for alien commanders to anticipate. Human tactical thinking. Captain Rodriguez transmitted her weekly intelligence summary using quantum encryption, methods that alien monitoring systems could not detect or decode. Her reports detailed shipping schedules, defensive positions, and communication protocols that would be vital for upcoming human operations. The information flowed through hidden relay stations to human command centers where strategic planners incorporated it into comprehensive battle plans that had been decades in development. The human presence in galactic space had grown steadily while remaining completely invisible to alien detection methods. Observation posts disguised as asteroids monitored major trade routes and military installations. Stealth vessels shadowed alien patrols to study their operational procedures. Hidden bases in seemingly empty systems provided staging areas for reconnaissance missions and emergency support operations. The entire intelligence network operated with precision that would have impressed any galactic military organization. Admiral Phillips authorized the final phase of reconnaissance, operations that would provide complete tactical intelligence for humanity's emergence into galactic politics. The time for passive observation was ending, and soon human forces would announce their presence in a way that could not be ignored or dismissed. The galaxy had grown comfortable with predictable threats and conventional warfare, but they were about to encounter an opponent unlike anything in their historical experience. Lisa completed her comprehensive analysis of galactic military capabilities and forwarded her conclusions to Earth Command. Her research confirmed that alien forces were formidable within the context of traditional space warfare, but their reliance on established doctrine would become a critical weakness when facing human tactical innovation. The galaxy was about to learn that myths and legends sometimes contained more truth than anyone suspected. Captain Rixtal guided his trade convoy through the empty space between the Kepler and Vega systems, while reviewing cargo manifests for the upcoming delivery to Zephyrian colonies. The 3 merchant vessels carried standard industrial supplies and consumer goods that would support the growing settlements in the outer territories. His route had been filed with Galactic Traffic Control weeks ago, and the journey should have been routine and completely safe according to all available navigation data. The sensor operator aboard the lead vessel noticed something unusual in his readings but dismissed it as equipment malfunction. Empty space rarely contained anything worth detecting, and their scanning equipment sometimes generated false signals when operating near systems with unusual stellar radiation. Captain Rixtal had made this journey dozens of times, without encountering anything more dangerous than the occasional asteroid or communication. Satellite Captain Steve Johnson waited in the command center of the UES Defiant while his tactical team monitored the approaching Zephyrian convoy. The human attack cruiser had been positioned in this sector for 3 days, using advanced stealth technology to remain completely invisible to alien detection systems. Intelligence reports indicated that this particular trade route carried strategic materials that could be used to demonstrate human capabilities without causing excessive casualties. The first sign of trouble came when Captain Rixtal's navigation officer reported multiple contacts appearing on sensors where empty space should have existed. The readings showed at least 6 vessels of unknown configuration materializing around the convoy in a classic military encirclement pattern. The unknown ships were using technology that allowed them to remain hidden until they chose to reveal themselves, something that should have been impossible according to galactic scientific understanding. Steve activated the communication system and broadcast on all standard galactic frequencies using perfect Zephyrian language protocols. His message was simple and direct, designed to demonstrate human knowledge of alien procedures while establishing immediate tactical dominance. The translation software aboard the Zephyrian vessels would recognize the linguistic patterns as native-level fluency rather than machine translation. Adding to the psychological impact of the encounter, Captain Rixtal stared at his communication display in complete disbelief as the alien transmission continued. The speaker claimed to represent something called the Human Federation and demanded immediate surrender of the convoy. The physical description of the attacking vessels matched no known design in galactic databases, and their tactical positioning showed military expertise that suggested extensive knowledge of Zephyrian defensive procedures. Dr. Helen Brooks reviewed her diplomatic protocols while preparing for the most significant first contact event in galactic history. Unlike the peaceful encounters that most species expected from newly discovered civilizations, humanity would announce itself through a carefully orchestrated demonstration of military capability. The galaxy needed to understand immediately that humans were not requesting membership in galactic society but demanding recognition as equals. The Zephyrian convoy commander attempted to contact galactic patrol forces for assistance, while his escort vessels powered up their defensive systems. The response from the nearest military base confirmed his worst fears about the tactical situation. No patrol ships were within 6 hours of his position, and the unknown attackers had chosen their timing and location with precision that indicated extensive surveillance of galactic shipping schedules. Steve monitored the alien response while maintaining position with his battle group. The Zephyrian escort vessels were armed with standard energy weapons and deflector shields that human engineers had been studying for decades. Every defensive system and tactical procedure they employed had been analyzed and countered during years of careful observation. The aliens were fighting, according to established doctrine, against an opponent who understood their every move. The brief engagement demonstrated the fundamental differences between human and galactic approaches to space combat. Where the Zephyrians relied on long-range energy weapons and defensive positioning, human vessels closed to point-blank range using kinetic weapons that penetrated shields designed to deflect energy attacks. The alien crews found themselves facing tactics that their training had never prepared them to. Counter-Captain Rixtal ordered his ships to surrender after watching his escort vessels disabled by weapons fire that seemed impossibly accurate. The attacking force had demonstrated complete tactical superiority while avoiding unnecessary destruction of his merchant vessels. The precision of the attack suggested military professionals rather than random pirates, but no known species possessed the technology or knowledge displayed by these mysterious attackers. The human boarding parties that secured the Zephyrian vessels wore environmental suits that concealed their physical appearance while allowing them to operate in alien atmospheric conditions. Steve had ordered his teams to maintain strict operational security during the initial contact, revealing only enough information to establish human capabilities, without providing detailed intelligence that could be used against future operations. Dr. Brooks transmitted her carefully prepared first contact message to Galactic Communication networks while the captured convoy was escorted to a secure location. Her broadcast would reach every major civilization within days, announcing humanity's existence and establishing the basic parameters for future diplomatic relations. The message emphasized human desire for peaceful coexistence while making clear that such peace would be based on mutual respect, rather than alien dominance. The news of the convoy attack spread through galactic communication networks faster than any physical message could travel. Captain Rixtal's emergency transmission had provided detailed descriptions of the attacking vessels and their unprecedented tactical capabilities. His crew confirmed that their captors matched the physical description of the mythical beings mentioned in ancient archaeological discoveries, connecting current events to legends that most scholars had dismissed as primitive. Folklore. Ambassador Kethwar received the emergency briefing while attending a cultural exchange ceremony on the Zephyrian homeworld. The attack on the trade convoy represented more than simple piracy or territorial dispute. The precision timing and tactical execution suggested a military organization with extensive knowledge of galactic procedures and capabilities. Most disturbing was the apparent connection between these attackers and the ancient legends that archaeologists had been discovering across multiple worlds. Steve completed his mission objectives while ensuring that the captured aliens were treated according to human military regulations for prisoner handling. The Zephyrian crews would be released unharmed after providing detailed testimony about their encounter with human forces. Their accounts would serve as the first official recognition of human military capabilities by the galactic community. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session as reports of similar encounters began arriving from across known space. Human vessels had appeared simultaneously in a dozen different systems, each engagement carefully planned to demonstrate specific capabilities while avoiding unnecessary casualties. The coordinated nature of these operations revealed an intelligence network and military organization that had been operating undetected for an unknown period of time. Dr. Brooks prepared for her appearance before the Galactic Council while reviewing centuries of accumulated intelligence about alien political structures and diplomatic procedures. Humanity's first formal contact with galactic civilization would establish precedents that could determine the future relationship between humans and every other known species. The galaxy was about to learn that their comfortable assumptions about military superiority and technological advancement were no longer valid. General Frank Williams walked through the main entrance of the Galactic Council chamber, while 12 different species watched in complete silence. His human military uniform bore no resemblance to any known design in galactic databases, and his presence challenged fundamental assumptions about intelligent life that had remained unchallenged for millennia. The translation devices struggled, briefly with human vocal patterns before adapting to provide clear communication across all alien languages simultaneously. Ambassador Kethvar studied the bipedal figure standing before the assembly and felt his crystalline respiratory system fluctuate with something approaching fear. The creature matched exactly the descriptions found in ancient archaeological sites across 17 different worlds. Forward-facing eyes indicated a predatory evolutionary background, while the minimal body hair and upright posture suggested adaptation to diverse environmental conditions that would challenge most known species. Frank activated the holographic display systems that had been installed by human technicians during the previous night. The images that appeared showed the true extent of human civilization, stretching across star systems that galactic surveys had designated as empty or uninhabitable. Colony worlds thrived in environments with crushing gravity, toxic atmospheres, and radiation levels that would sterilize most organic life within hours of exposure. The insectoid representative from Hive Prime clicked her mandibles rapidly while processing the implications of what she was seeing. Humans had established industrial complexes on worlds that her species had avoided due to hostile conditions. Mining operations extracted resources from planetary cores where the pressure and temperature should have made any form of construction impossible. Agricultural facilities produced food in atmospheric conditions that would kill most known crops within days. Dr. Helen Brooks transmitted additional data to the council members, showing human technological capabilities that had been developed in complete isolation from galactic scientific traditions. Where alien species had focused on energy manipulation and automated systems, humans had perfected kinetic weapons and manual control interfaces that proved remarkably effective against conventional defensive strategies. The technology was not necessarily more advanced than galactic standards, but it was fundamentally different in ways that created unexpected tactical advantages. General Williams began his formal address to the council while monitoring the alien reactions through enhanced sensory equipment built into his uniform. Each species displayed different stress indicators as they processed the reality of human existence and capabilities. The Zephyrians showed increased crystalline resonance patterns indicating elevated anxiety levels. The Andromedans generated harmonic frequencies associated with confusion and territorial concern. The holographic displays shifted to show timeline data revealing the duration of human observation activities throughout galactic space. For over 3 centuries, human vessels had monitored alien communications, studied military procedures, and mapped industrial infrastructure while remaining completely undetected. The scope of the intelligence-gathering operation exceeded anything previously accomplished by any known civilization. Ambassador Kethvar realized that every major galactic conflict during the past 200 years had been observed and analyzed by human strategists. Military secrets that each species believed were completely secure had been studied and cataloged by an opponent they never knew existed. The tactical implications were staggering. As humans possessed detailed knowledge of defensive capabilities and strategic weaknesses across all major galactic powers, Frank continued his presentation by revealing the extent of human military preparation that had been conducted during their period of isolation. The 3,000 vessels of the human fleet represented only the forces currently deployed for active operations. Industrial capacity on hidden colony worlds could produce additional ships at rates that exceeded the combined construction capabilities of the top 5 galactic military powers. President Mary Collins addressed the human population from the command center of the capital ship UES Constitution, while her words were simultaneously broadcast to every human settlement across dozens of star systems. Her speech emphasized that humanity was joining galactic civilization as equals rather than supplicants, and that human territorial claims would be respected through negotiation or military action as circumstances required. The Galactic Council members struggled to process the complete reversal of their understanding about the balance of power in known space. Species that had fought bitter wars over access to rare materials discovered that humans had been harvesting those same resources from systems they considered worthless. Military commanders who had planned their strategies around known threats found themselves facing an opponent with superior intelligence and unconventional tactics. Dr. Brooks presented the formal diplomatic proposals that would govern human integration into galactic society. The terms were remarkably reasonable considering human military advantages, focusing on mutual recognition and fair trade agreements rather than territorial expansion or resource exploitation. However, the underlying message was clear that these terms represented human preferences rather than desperate negotiations from a position of weakness. The response from different alien species revealed the diversity of approaches to this unprecedented situation. The Zephyrians immediately began calculating the strategic implications and potential alliance opportunities. The Hive Prime Collective entered emergency consultation mode to develop consensus responses to the changed circumstances. The Andromedans attempted to establish harmonic communication, protocols that might allow deeper understanding of human intentions. General Williams concluded his presentation by addressing the question that every alien representative was afraid to ask directly. Humans had possessed the military capability to conquer galactic civilization for decades, but had chosen isolation and observation instead of aggressive expansion. This restraint demonstrated that human goals were focused on coexistence rather than domination, provided that such coexistence occurred between equals rather than in a subordinate relationship. The emergency council session extended far beyond its scheduled duration as representatives contacted their home governments for guidance on responding to the human revelation. Traditional diplomatic procedures had no precedent for dealing with a civilization that had achieved technological and military parity through complete secrecy. Every existing treaty and alliance would need to be reconsidered in light of the new galactic power structure. Ambassador Kethvar found himself remembering Dr. Velthon's archaeological discoveries with new understanding about their significance. The ancient tablets had not described myths or legends, but historical records of previous human presence in galactic space. The beings that primitive civilizations had recorded as mysterious sky warriors were the ancestors of the humans now demanding recognition as a major galactic power. Frank remained in the council chamber long after his formal presentation ended, answering questions and providing clarification about human intentions, while carefully avoiding details that might compromise ongoing security operations. The aliens gradually accepted that their comfortable assumptions about military superiority and technological advancement had been fundamentally incorrect. For centuries, the galactic community began the complex process of adapting to a reality where humans represented a major political and military force that could no longer be ignored or dismissed. The balance of power that had maintained relative peace for millennia was shifting in ways that would require new approaches to diplomacy, trade, and territorial management across all inhabited systems. 6 months after first contact, Captain Tony Mitchell stood on the bridge of his patrol cruiser while working alongside Commander Zekthal from the Zephyrian Defense Force. The joint human-alien patrol represented a fundamental shift in galactic security operations, as species that had never trusted each other enough for military cooperation now found themselves united against common threats. The pirate raids that had plagued shipping lanes for decades were being systematically eliminated by combined forces using tactics that neither species could have developed alone. Dr. Carol Spencer reviewed the latest research data while collaborating with her Zephyrian counterpart Dr. Hivenel in the newly established Joint Science Facility on Nexus Station. The exchange of scientific knowledge between human and alien researchers had produced breakthrough discoveries that advanced understanding in fields ranging from quantum mechanics to biological engineering. However, humans maintained strict security protocols around their most sensitive military technologies while sharing innovations that could benefit all galactic civilizations. The trade negotiations between human representatives and the Galactic Commerce Guild had established new standards for interspecies economic relationships. Ambassador Linda Foster had demonstrated that humans would not accept the exploitative agreements that weaker species had been forced to sign in the past. The terms demanded by human negotiators emphasized fair exchange and mutual benefit rather than the traditional model where stronger civilizations extracted resources from weaker ones through economic pressure. Ambassador Kethvar found himself serving as an unofficial liaison between human diplomats and traditional galactic power structures, His experience with human representatives had convinced him that their approach to interspecies relations differed fundamentally from established practices. Where most civilizations sought to maximize their own advantages through negotiation, humans consistently proposed arrangements that provided benefits to all parties while maintaining strict equality in political relationships. The archaeological site on Nexus 7 had become the center of intensive historical research as Dr. Zara Velthon worked with human historians to reconstruct the true story of ancient galactic civilization. The tablets and artifacts discovered in the ruins told a completely different version of galactic history than the one recorded in official databases. Humans had not been myths or legends, but an advanced spacefaring civilization that had withdrawn from galactic affairs millennia ago for reasons that were still being investigated. Captain Amy Rodriguez commanded the expanded human patrol fleet as it established permanent bases throughout sectors that had been inadequately protected by traditional galactic security forces. The human military presence served multiple purposes beyond simple law enforcement, as their bases provided emergency assistance to ships in distress, while gathering intelligence about ongoing threats to galactic stability. Most alien crews initially approached human facilities with caution, but quickly learned that human assistance came without political conditions or economic exploitation. The integration of human forces into galactic defense networks had required complete revision of standard military doctrines that had remained unchanged for centuries. Human tactical approaches emphasized flexibility and rapid adaptation, rather than the rigid procedures favored by most alien species. Military academies across galactic space began incorporating human strategic concepts into their training programs while struggling to understand the psychological foundations that made such tactics effective. Dr. Spencer transmitted her weekly progress report to Earth Command while maintaining the delicate balance between scientific cooperation and security requirements. The joint research projects had revealed that alien technologies often compensated for environmental limitations that humans overcame through biological adaptation. This fundamental difference in evolutionary development had created complementary capabilities that could advance both human and alien scientific understanding when properly coordinated. The Galactic Council had voted to establish a permanent seat for human representation after months of political debate about the appropriate status for the newest major power. Ambassador Susan Price took her position among delegates who had initially dismissed her species as mythological, but now recognized that humans commanded military and economic resources that could not be ignored. The balance of political influence in galactic affairs had shifted permanently with the addition of human voices to major policy decisions. Commander Eric Brown supervised the construction of the newest human diplomatic facility on the neutral world of Harmony Prime. The base would serve as a permanent embassy for human-alien relations while providing secure communications with human territory and military forces. The facility's design incorporated both human engineering principles and alien architectural preferences, symbolizing the new era of cooperation that was developing between previously separate civilizations. The criminal organizations that had operated freely in the poorly patrolled outer territories discovered that human law enforcement operated according to different principles than traditional galactic security forces. Where alien patrols relied on sophisticated sensor networks and automated response systems, human officers used investigative techniques and pursuit tactics that proved remarkably effective against opponents who had learned to evade conventional detection methods. Piracy and smuggling operations that had survived for decades were being dismantled by human-led task forces working with local authorities. Dr. Velthon published her comprehensive analysis of the archaeological evidence showing that humans had been present throughout galactic space during the early period of interstellar civilization. The withdrawal of human influence had coincided with a period of increasing political instability that eventually led to the wars and territorial disputes that shaped modern galactic boundaries. The implications suggested that human isolationist policies had been a response to deteriorating conditions, rather than simple preference for independence. President Collins addressed the combined human and alien populations during the first anniversary celebration of formal first contact. Her speech emphasized that galactic civilization had been strengthened by the addition of human perspectives and capabilities, while acknowledging that full integration would require continued patience and understanding from all species involved. The galaxy had adapted more quickly than anyone had expected to the reality of human participation in interstellar affairs. The economic impact of human integration had exceeded all initial projections, as human industrial capacity and resource extraction capabilities enhanced the prosperity of allied civilizations. Human colonies on previously uninhabitable worlds provided materials and manufactured goods that supplemented traditional galactic supply chains while opening new markets for alien products and services. The result was unprecedented economic growth that benefited every participating species. Ambassador Price concluded her first annual report to the Galactic Council by noting that humans had successfully transitioned from mythological curiosity to accepted member of galactic civilization within a single year. The process had required adjustments from all parties, but had demonstrated that cooperation between diverse species could produce results that exceeded the capabilities of any single civilization. The galaxy would never again underestimate the power of beings that others had dismissed as mere legends. The new galactic order incorporated human strength and adaptability into a framework that had been strengthened rather than threatened by the addition of another major power. The myths had become reality, and that reality had proven more beneficial than anyone could have anticipated when the first archaeological tablets were discovered in the ancient ruins of a forgotten world.